Alrighty, it is 10:04, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I apologize again for some technical difficulties. Welcome everyone to the July 12th, 2022 meeting of the SPIL Transportation Group. Before I introduce our speaker, I'm going to kind of fast forward to our next meeting. We had talked about doing an in-person meeting or a hybrid meeting. So I only heard back from a couple of people. So after this meeting today, I'm going to email out just an email asking people, if you'd be interested in an in-person meeting. If so, where would you be traveling from? That way we can kind of try and find maybe a centralized location. So keep an eye out for that email. Okay, so today we have Dre'Vel, and I apologize if I mispronounce that, Taylor. He is the mobility manager for Lawrence and Douglas County. And so at this point, I'm going to hand this over to Dre'Vel and let him tell you a little bit more about himself before he starts his presentation. And Dre'Vel, you do have the option to do a share screen if you'd like to do that, if you have something you want to share with us. So without further ado, I will hand that over to you.
All right, well, thank you, Christina, and welcome everybody. Thanks for having me here today. I am the Lawrence Douglas County Mobility Manager. I started this position in January of this year. I've kind of hit the ground running, working with Michelle and the other mobility managers, and I'm just, really excited to be here with you all. So I do have a small presentation to share about just some things that I'm working on and some initiatives that I have going on in the Lawrence Douglas County area. So let's see if I can share this properly. All right, can everybody see the presentation screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So yeah, I'm the Lawrence Douglas County Mobility Manager, so located up here. I work a lot with Mike Spatafor and then with Michelle and the others. I guess you guys are already acquainted with what the mobility managers do, so I can generally skip this slide here. We have in future informal group meeting called RTAC, and that's the Regional Transit Advisory Committee. Before I started working for Lawrence Douglas County as the mobility manager, this group was kind of organized and ran by the MPO, and they had sent out a survey to all of the members of RTAC, which are mostly service agencies that have some kind of 5310 or 5311 type funding. And they set out a list of priorities that they wanted to address in the next couple of years. And this is that list of their priorities here. So their number one priority at the time was getting some better service connections between Baldwin, Eudora, Lecompton, and the unincorporated areas of Douglas County to access the city of Lawrence. City of Lawrence is the primary hub of Douglas County with a population of about 105,000. And so most of the primary services are located here. We do not generally have very good accessibility from the surrounding cities or the unincorporated area to get here if you do not have a private vehicle. We have the Senior Resource Center, who generally deals with individuals 50, 55-ish and up, and they will work with anybody who lives within Douglas County. And then we also have Independence Inc., which will deal with any member of the population as long as you are housed in Lawrence Douglas County. They are the only organization in Douglas County that works with the general public that will do out-of-county medical trips. And so if you have a medical appointment in Topeka at the VA, or you need to go to KU Med, they are the only individual that can provide that service for a cost, and they're usually booked out 2 to 3 weeks in advance. So when I began, began working here, I was working with the RTAC and the MPO and Lawrence Transit. I set up a list of priorities to focus on for somewhat for this year, some for future years. The number one being providing transportation between the smaller cities to get to Lawrence, and to hopefully start finding ways to help get people to their appointments in Topeka and Kansas City. Lawrence Transit got a new planner one this year. Her name is Andy Lynch. Her and I and their new intern, Eleanor, have been working on a travel training program. So the Lawrence Transit system is undergoing a complete route redesign. That's supposed to take place in January, hopefully. And with that route redesign, they're proposing to do 1 year of fare free. So no cost to ride the fixed route service. And due to some, I believe, FTA standards, that means their paratransit service will also be free for the year of 2023. So that's going to go on the agenda sometime in August for City Commission approval. It's already undergone their own advisory board approval, so everything is good to go on that end. We have the Coordinated Public Transit Human Service Transportation Plan. We are in the process of working with the other social services in the region to get that updated to make it a more holistic and comprehensive plan instead of 100% like transportation related. And so we think that combining the transportation with other plans in the community to have a more comprehensive plan will help us to address things in a better fashion. And then my last real priority has been to work with the other mobility managers. So we have KPTA coming up in August. We had our first Connecting Kansas Network, sorry, Michelle, if I butchered the name of that. Our first field trip here in Lawrence, where the other transportation providers in the state could come and view Lawrence's electric buses. We just received 5 electric buses this year, and we have more scheduled in the future. And so it's really a great way to share procurement processes, information, ask questions, and get people to start collaborating in different communities. And then some other initiatives that I'm working on include mapping out Just Food client data. Just Food is one of our largest food pantries in the city of Lawrence. They serve people, Lawrence, Douglas County. They serve people in surrounding cities and counties. I'm working on updating our LEP and Title VI plans. So the LEP is almost ready for final approval, I believe. At Title VI, I'm working on updating some maps for that, and then it'll be ready to go. We have our long-range transportation plan, T2040, and we're updating it to the next phase, which is T2050. So that's going to be a long-range initiative that the MPO and I are working on through part of next year. And then another initiative is reducing T-lift barriers. The T-lift is our paratransit bus service. And prior to getting here, it was 2 10 or 12-page documents that needed to be filled out by the applicant and a qualified professional. I was able to redo the application and simplify things to make filling out the application a lot easier and accessible to people. It's now fillable online. I don't believe the Lawrence Transit System has put it on the website yet because they're going through and getting it translated, but our other transportation agencies Senior Resource Center and Independence Inc. do have access to that document. I do want to share some more information in regard to the Just Food data, because this data set is very important in my opinion, and I'm pretty passionate about it. So as you can see here, these hotspots are address clusters of where individuals live at who utilize Just Food, the food pantry. And with this type of data, this can help the MPO and Lawrence Transit prioritize different projects in the area. So by these hotspots, we can prioritize whether we need to do a bus stop improvement in that region, if we need to prioritize sidewalk expansion or filling in sidewalk gaps, multimodal projects, so bike lanes, expanding roads, making things more public friendly. And in addition, Just Food, they don't map their own data. And so they send it to, we have an agreement with them where they can send us their annual data and we'll map it for them. So it can help them understand where they need to park their mobile food pantry whenever they do that event. So historically they would park their mobile food pantry in a location that they assumed would be a good spot, and then they would get, variable public turnout for those events. But after mapping the data, now they understand that between 23rd and 27th in Iowa over here is a good location because a lot of individuals who utilize their services are clustered here. Same with 19th and Harper area. This area up on 4th Street. So this data could be used for a lot of different purposes. So I have the 2021 data, 2022 to date data. This is the combined 2021 and 22 data. And then this one here, they actually asked individuals what their transportation method is to getting to their facility. And so taking out every individual who uses private transportation, so their own personal vehicle, these are all the hotspots of individuals who use their services but don't have reliable access to a private vehicle. So that's all I have, I believe, for now. So I'll stand for questions and comments.
Does anyone have any questions, or maybe you've noticed, something in Dre'Vel's presentation that kind of reflects your area, so you might want to get his opinion on something? Guess everybody's really quiet today.
So Dre'Vel, I'm just asking out of curiosity, what has in your area has been your greatest successes and your largest obstacles with regards to accessible transportation?
So I've only been here for about 6 months, and the first 3 to 4 months have been just the steep learning curve of the job and getting to know who is who. So I think my biggest success currently is between redoing the T-Lift application to make it more accessible, and between that and mapping that Just Food data. So those are two, especially the Just Food client data, because that has a lot of implications for future projects in the area. So that's probably my favorite or biggest initiative completed so far. The biggest hurdle I've had so far is getting key stakeholders to participate. So Eudora has a lot of issues with individuals not being able to access the city of Lawrence, even though it's a 5 to 7 minute drive away from, city limits of Lawrence. So getting a hold of the KCATA individual in charge of the JCCC or the K10 connector to put a stop in Eudora to get to Lawrence and back and forth has been very burdensome that we haven't made much progress on. Haven't been able to get the city manager to really be very responsive or interested in any public transportation initiatives yet. I think it's just going to be a coalition building project to get more heat underneath.
Well, and I know that the group here has been trying to find a viable solution to tackle the lack of available accessible transportation in off hours and weekends. Has that been an issue where you're at?
Yes and no. So currently our fixed route operates from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then we have what's called the night line, where you can call and schedule ahead of time to be picked up anywhere from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. I believe. And that runs Monday through Saturday, I believe. And then Sunday we have zero service. Lawrence Transit is in the process of doing their route redesign and expanding services onto Sundays via microtransit options. And so that's something that they're planning. So at least for the city of Lawrence itself, getting these services is going to expand a lot of opportunity for a lot of people. But Senior Wheels through the Senior Resource Center and Independence Inc., they do have relatively limited hours. And I believe their last, I think they close around 4-ish Monday through Friday. I don't think either of them have Saturday or Sunday services. So it's getting them to be able to expand services is more difficult than Lawrence Transit System because their budgets are more confined, whereas the Lawrence Transit System, they do have a sales tax and they do receive a good amount of state and federal dollars annually.
Thank you so much.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions or maybe concerns you have in your area you might want to talk or to the group in Dre'Vel about to see, maybe get his opinion on anything?
Here in Emporia, I have a group that's looking to get transportation on Sundays just till noon so they can get people to and from church. And a lot of them are in wheelchairs or needing walkers. Do you have any suggestions for maybe getting that started?
So Michelle, you might have to help me out a little bit just because I'm not as familiar with that process, but instead of applying for state funding, you could initiate some type of pilot program where you guys could buy a used vehicle from an existing transportation organization that receives state funds. It would have a lot less overhead and regulations attached to it, but as a previously used 5310 or 5311 vehicle, it should be ADA accessible. Let's see. And then I would look into potentially partnering with your local government for insurance purposes, and then figuring out whether they can also come up with some kind of maintenance agreement. So you guys would have to find the initial funding for the vehicle, which I believe would be relatively-ish affordable, as well as coming up with some kind of MOU, memorandum of understanding or something between you and the local government for insurance and maintenance purposes. If you guys were able to get 1 to 2 vehicles that way, I think you guys would be able to sustain it a little bit better than going through all the hurdles of applying for state funding for a vehicle.
Okay, thank you.
Michelle, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say the only thing that I would add is maybe think about some volunteer driver programs. I think definitely what Dre said is the hardest part will be getting that accessible vehicle, especially if you do have a lot of people with mobility devices. So finding that vehicle and, getting that insured, I think would be a great place to start. I mean, other than that, reaching out to maybe the local churches, ministerial alliances or anything like that you might have. Or I'm not 100% familiar with all of the transportation options at Emporia. But I don't, even reaching out to those agencies that are already providing transportation and seeing if that's something that they would be willing to partner with.
Okay, that gives me a lot of ideas, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
This is Diana Clanton from Sedan, Chautauqua County. Our Council of Aging has a van. It's not through KDOT, but we did buy it through KDOT, from KDOT. Our insurance is through the Council of Aging. They provide the transportation, the gasoline, everything, because we get the funding from our taxes in Chautauqua County. But it's the Council of Aging, Chautauqua County Council of Aging is how we're doing it.
Well, that's awesome. You guys have all kinds of good ideas and resources out there. I'm pretty new to my position. I started in April, so and I'm working for the Center of Independent Living, and just one of my friend groups is, mostly elderly and disabled, so this helps a lot.
All righty. Thank you for asking those questions and for your answers. I think there was another one. Kendra, did you have something that you wanted to say or a question to ask?
I did actually. Let me come on screen. Sorry. Okay. Hi. Yes, I was wondering. Outside of the ADA, are there any national metrics that you guys use to inform your accessibility practices?
We use a lot of census data. We generally use the ACS, the American Community Survey, because those are estimates that they put out quite regularly in between the decennial census. And since we're not getting that data until I think August of this year, yeah, we generally just use the ACS data. We don't have a ton of local data available for us. So we use data from whatever organizations collect data as well as the federal data.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for your question. Is there anyone else that has any questions or maybe some things you want to run by Dre'Vel about what's going on in your areas? Okay, I think that's it for everyone. And I should have done this beforehand, and I apologize, but can we go through and introduce ourselves to Dre'Vel? That way he kind of knows who's here. We do have quite a few people that are not on the call today. But let's go with Diana. Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name's Diana Clanton. I work for Sedan SPIL. I'm an independent living coordinator.
All right. Thank you, Diana. Suzanne, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Suzanne Jan, and I live in Emporia. I work for Resource Center of Independent Living, and I'm an independent living specialist.
Thank you. Kendra?
Hi, my name is Kendra Burgess, and I work for The Whole Person, which is a Center for Independent Living out of Kansas City, Missouri, and I serve as the public policy coordinator. And it's a lot of bright light, so that's why I keep going off camera, but thank you for being with us today.
Laura?
I'm Laura Denny. I'm out of Hayes, Kansas for Link. I work as an independent living specialist as well as an information and referral specialist and whatever I'm asked to do. So.
Hey, Mignon, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Mignon Lucky, and I work for Prairie Independent Living in Dodge City. I am an independent living specialist working with both independent living services and the older blind program. I have the older blind program. I have about 34 counties. So they're there and everywhere.
Thank you. Kenya, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep, I'm Keena Steinbrock. I work for Three Rivers. My office is in Clay Center, and I cover Clay County, Marshall County, and Washington County.
Thank you. Adam?
Good morning, I'm Adam Burnett. I'm with the Resource Center for Independent Living. I'm the Director of Core Services and I work in the Osage City office, although today I am in Iola.
Thank you. And then I believe the last one we have is Michelle, which you know Michelle. But Michelle, if you would like to, you can introduce yourself as well.
Sure. Hi, everybody. There's a few new faces on here, I think. So I'm Michelle Griffin. I'm the mobility manager for North Central Kansas. I'm based out of Salina.
All right. Thank you. And then earlier, the gentleman you spoke with, his name was Greg York. He's also with the Skill Resource Center. He had to jump off to get on to another call. But I believe if I miss anybody, please speak up. Otherwise, but that's part of our group today. Did anybody else have any other questions or anything that they wanted to speak with Dre'Vel or the group about? Okay. Well, I want to thank you, Dre'Vel, for taking time out of your day to come and speak with us and kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. We greatly appreciate that. And if you wouldn't mind, the PowerPoint and the information that you had gathered, anything like that, is there any way you would be willing to send that to me?
Yeah, I will turn those maps into PDFs. I'm still in the process of making adjustments and stuff to those. So it's not the final draft of those maps, but I could send those maps your way and I can send the PowerPoint your direction too.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course.
All righty. So I guess we'll move on to the next part of our meeting. Anybody come across anything in other meetings or emails that have been brought to your attention as far as, you know, things we can put towards the evening and weekend transportation issue? All righty. Anybody who's been able to participate in one of their local CTD group meetings since the last time that we held ours? Nope. Anybody been at least in contact with your local CTD about the transportation? No?
I get emails from them.
Okay, any progress or any updates in your area that you'd want to share?
They were not really. It's just kind of that they're still having meetings. I feel like we're kind of going around in circles here. So.
Okay. Alrighty. I'm just gonna, put it out there that if you can, please try and continue to stay in touch with them. I know most of us have had issues with them allowing us to participate in their meetings and wanting to share information with us, but if we can continue to try and build relationships with them, that would work really well in our favor. Just a reminder, we do have the SPIL transportation website, which has links to different resources, including the mobility managers and their contact information. Does anybody have any other topics or anything that they want to go over?
This is Kendra. I was wondering if anyone happened to apply to be on that USDOT committee. I believe it was an advisory committee. I was just wondering if anybody from our region applied and or got accepted. Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe if anybody did, they may not be on the call. But yeah, no, and I'm hoping that advisory committee is going to do a lot of good.
Yeah, I actually wanted to apply myself, but I missed the deadline. It's been quite hectic around here. So I was just wondering if like anyone in our region could like serve as our liaison to that committee.
Yeah, we can definitely reach out to them and make that connection. I think that's definitely a good idea.
Sure.
So thank you for bringing that back to our attention.
And also one more thing, I was wondering if anyone is going to be attending the NICL conference, either virtually or in person. I believe it's the last week of July. Okay. I just thought I'd mention it. I'm actually at-large board member, so I will be there in DC to meet with elected officials and attend the conference. So if anyone has any legislative issues that you would like for me to present as we meet with the Missouri and Kansas delegation, please let me know.
All right, thank you for that. And then anybody else have anything that they want to bring up? Alrighty, just a reminder, our next meeting is set for October 11th, and we had toyed with making that with a hybrid meeting for those who are interested. And I will send out that email to everyone asking them their opinions and kind of where they're traveling from, that sort of thing, so we can find a central location. Anybody have any ideas or about a speaker for our next meeting? If not, that might be something that you think about and shoot me an email if you can think of anybody. Should we do an in-person meeting, or if we end up doing a hybrid, having someone come in and maybe do a Zoom presentation with that part too?
This is Kendra, Christina. I recently came across an individual who works for he does the research for like infrastructure and neighborhoods and things like that. And he is with sorry, I'm trying to remember exactly. He's with gosh, what do they call it? The ADA Center, the Midwest ADA Center. Is that right?
I think so, something along those lines.
Yes. And so I will email you his information and his bio, but he might be a really good speaker. I don't know how much he does, as it pertains to transportation, but he, maybe you can reach out to him and see if he has any knowledge that he can share with the group.
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah, if you could email me that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure.
All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to bring up or think of any other questions for Dre'Vel? All righty. Well, if nobody else has anything, I think we'll go ahead and conclude our meeting for this month. Dre'Vel, again, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to meet with our group and to share all that information with us. We greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great to meet everybody here and discuss what we're doing up here, and hopefully we can, spread that along in other places.
we sure hope so. That's the idea anyway. We'll see how it works. But okay, if nobody else has anything else, we'll go ahead and conclude the meeting today, and keep an eye out for that email. And I'll get it sent here in the next little bit. So, all right, have a good day, everybody.